Welcome to the Flat Track Factory. I'm just back from Quarterley Racing with Dale Quarterley to give you the fourth installment of our braking series, trying to give you an actionable strategy on how to stop the wheel hop, if some of you guys have been asking me about, and I fouled the sound up. The first 10 minutes or so is going to be not so good. Sorry about that. It's the second time I've been up there. Second time I fouled it up, but I'm going to try to bring it to you anyway. And of course, you know, Dale and I, we like to go on tangents, and for those of you that enjoy Dale and his very unique way and very passionate way of bringing motorcycle racing to you, this one's for you. We're back here at Quarterley Racing, Flat Track Factory on field trip. We're kind of at, I understand the spot's becoming famous.
A little bit. People keep asking me on that note who this picture over here is, which we'll take a picture of in a minute. And it's my niece. And she, Marissa, she loved horses, and my father used to buy and sell horses when he was a kid, so those two just instantly connected. So somehow she made the wall at my father's desk, which is my father's desk, by the way. She made the wall at Dad's desk, and it's such a cool picture. I never took it.
Not here, obviously, up when you were in...
No, here. This was when my father retired. He came down here.
Okay.
And of course I can't run the business by myself, right, because I'm a kid. So my father had to come down and teach me how to run the business. So he sat here and yelled at me all day. And then he had his desk out here, not in there, so he could see what I was doing. So he'd yell at me all day.
And now it goes to the next generation?
Yeah, now I yell at my son. Except now I have to text him because he's in Mass. I text him, yell at him through text.
Okay, Dale, so this is the second shot of this, right? I drove up here a couple weeks ago and we sat down and tried to do the fourth installment of this braking series that I'm making. All started when somebody was asking, how do I stop the bike from wheel hopping? And I have a couple of videos about braking, getting set up for this. Ultimately, my contention is it's not the bike, it's the rider.
You know, last week, can I change subjects since we babble constantly?
Okay, guys, we are going to get to this, but we're going to have, when you watch us do this, you got to realize we're doing this really fast for you. It's like an all-day thing, and we're usually yelling at each other. So yeah, change the subject.
Change the subject is, last week I got around my ARCA car at Watkins Glen. Down the street is Square Deal running. So we bomb over, it's an hour away. So we bomb over, we watch those guys. Sorry. Square Deal is a racetrack in New York. There's at least 20 national number guys there. If they didn't have it, if they don't have it now, they had it at some point in their life. There's 20 national number guys.
Once a national number, always.
I've never seen so many Rotaxes in my life, right? There was at least 15 Rotax guys there running. All the framer bikes were built to the hill. It was unfreaking believable. The racing was insane. There were 4 or 5 guys for the lead with completely different riding styles. It was phenomenal how different each one rode. And part of it was the framer guy had to do his thing because he's on a framer. And the DTX guy had to do his thing because he's on a DTX guy. Then you get another DTX guy that can't quite hang with those guys, but he ain't freaking giving up. He's doing his thing, right? And as I'm watching all this unfold, I'm thinking of us trying to shoot this video, which I'm already babbling, but trying to shoot this video last week. So I kind of purposely paid attention to what those guys were doing on entrance. So with any luck, with your counter, my side, your side, I think we can get to a point that'll help you guys move forward.
Yeah, so, and I always got to remind myself, you know, I sit over as a content creator and I try to, you know, be hip and young and get to the point, but, you know, I think I'm getting away from that because that's not what we do, is it? That's not just personally what you and I do.
I had a guy sit next to me and he said, hey, all I heard was push on the inside bar, which is how I say it, right? Because I'm from Mass. There is no R. Yep. Push on the inside bar. And I was watching my son, so I didn't look over to see what the conversation was. And a couple minutes later, I hear him say it again. So this time I look over at the guy, and he's looking at me, and he's smiling and says, hey, man, I just want you to know we watch all your videos, and it's helped my son and I tremendously, blah, blah, blah. So because my son's race is over, I sat and talked to him for 20 minutes, which maybe we'll get into that later. But I sat and talked to him for 20 minutes. And it was nice to know, and I send you texts all the time,
it's fun.
That people are at least listening we never say that we're 100% right. And I'm the first one to say, if you watch me flat track, you'll never listen to me again, that I'm terrible.
It's not really true, but okay.
Right?
No, it's not. That's not really true.
Well, I'm terrible.
You're giving yourself a bit of an out, and I understand that.
Well, just, if I go run and get on my road race bike, I can run up front. I can go run with the best pro guy in the country and somewhat keep him in sight. Can I beat him? Probably not, but I can keep him in sight. When I go run with the best pro guy on the flat track, you bastards are lapping me in 5 laps, right? 7 laps. I can't do what I want to do as a pro.
Flat track is it's just, it's weird. It's hard. It's not. It's the same, but
it's completely different feelings, which is the problem. That for 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, probably, let's go back all the way till I was 7. I'm 61. I'm used to being hooked to the racetrack. I'm a road racer. I'm an asphalt road racer. And if it's not hooked up, then I got to readjust because it needs to be hooked up. Then you lightly unhook it and float that last 3%.
That's flat track.
That's when you set on the pole. I know, but for you guys to do it, you're always unhooked.
Yeah.
When you guys are really running up front, you're unhooked 10%.
Yeah.
Well, for us normal human beings, is what it seems like, we can't do it, right? We just can't get our brain in our foot, in our body, in our mind to just ignore it. Just, dude, just leave it alone. Wait 2 seconds and it'll do what it's supposed to do. Yeah, but I'm going to die before then, which isn't true, because then you guys go out there and make it look so simple, right? And it pisses, and I'm with you guys, it pisses us off to no extent, right? Now, when I'm on the fence and I'm watching, I even comment to you, dude, you got to stop doing that.
Oh yeah.
I can tell you how to ride, but I can't go do it.
And he's right. You know, if you look back in our catalog, I think I can't remember the name of the video. Maybe I'll put the card up. You know, you do a little card click if you want to watch that video, where we were down at GTR and struggling, and I was just, I got you there to pay attention to me, and I was like, let's just fix this. And I think the main problem was me.
It was 3 little adjustments, right? Yeah. We don't need to get into it.
No,
there was 3 little adjustments, and we had it fixed. Then we realized, okay, it's the motorcycle, and again, 2 little adjustments. We kind of had it fixed too. Right? So let's go into their problem seems to be that we've got tons of requests for.
Yeah.
Is this braking drill.
Well, I'm suggesting a braking drill to try to fix the problem, because all of the questions that I'm getting are referencing bike setup stuff, and I've addressed a little bit of that with Michael Neal, brake lever position, that sort of stuff. And that's all fine and good, but ultimately, you guys are doing it to yourselves. You're stepping on the brake, with the bike straight up and down, and it's wheel hopping. And I have a strategy. I'm going to try to propose a strategy to make an actionable drill for you, so you can go experiment and fix this. And then Dale and I are going to riff, and he's going to tell me, you know, let's look at it this way, all that sort of stuff. So what I'm going to suggest is you can get on a short track, pick a speed that you can go through the center of the corner at, and then never accelerate. Just go around the track at your minimum speed, right? No.
So in the middle of the straightaway, we're quarter throttle. We never even moved our wrist, right?
So let's just say we decide that's a 50 miles an hour.
Right.
You're going to go around the track 50 miles an hour. You're not wheel hopping then, right? So then maybe what would be I don't know, accelerate a little bit, but no brake, so just on engine braking. Because of course, when you sit up in the air, you know, you brake a little bit. As you lean in, just the fact that the bike's leaning over, you're braking.
It's load, right?
Yeah, it's load. And then they're gonna let off the gas, back down to 50 miles an hour, not 40. We know we can go 50. We're gonna go 50 through the corner and then accelerate a little bit and decel. You're not wheel hopping. Then go, maybe after you do that for a little while, then go up to your 9 or 10 tenths, use your brake, and you're going to be wheel hopping again.
So they're all going to complain that we only get 4 laps of practice. We come in on 5.
Well, this
we
has
only
to be
get
done
2 practice sessions.
Okay.
We only get 2 qualifiers. I don't have time for this. I have 4 laps of practice. 2 4-lap practices, 6-lap heat, and a 12-lap meet.
Well, they can't do it on the race night then.
Okay, so there's 2 ways of thinking about this. There's, hey, you gotta go practice. It's the only way you're gonna fix it. Or you can just bite the bullet, right? And bite the bullet means if you're a 7th place guy and you don't want to be a 7th place guy, stop worrying about races, which is my mentality. Worry about getting better. Every time you go on the racetrack, you're working on something to get better.
So turn your race night into...
Just forget the race night. We didn't go to race. It just happens to say that on the sign out front, right? Now, later I'm going to be yelling the other side of the fence, but at this moment, forget the sign out front. We went there to make ourselves better. So when I roll out to practice, you can't go 2 miles an hour, but I'm going to go kind of fast on the straightaway and fast through the turn. I'm never touching the rear brake. And then every lap I'm going to pick that up. And when I go out in the next heat, I'm going to do the exact same thing. But when I go out for the heat race, you might have to decide to make the main, you might have to ride it for a minute. Right? You might have to use the rear brake. But if you can keep from using the rear brake, don't use the rear brake. But when you get on the main, do the same thing. You're working on 3 weeks from now. Everything you do is based on 3 weeks from now, which, by the way, you never catch up. You never get to the 3rd week. Every week you should be working on something, right? That's my mentality. Okay. I didn't go to the races to lose. They didn't go to the races not to learn something. Every time I go, I want to learn something, right? I want to move forward.
So do we think that that's enough of an actionable strategy to stop the wheel hop?
No, but until you make the start, you can't finish the end, which is until you're willing to concede, I need to do something, it's never going to get done. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like an alcoholic, right? Until you admit you're an alcoholic, you're never going to get sober, right? You got to admit you're an alcoholic first. I need to admit I can't ride, which I say it right from the beginning. I don't have a problem with saying it. I don't ride how I would like to ride.
Remember when I wadded up the red shop towel and
stuck it on my seat, right?
Because you wouldn't move forward.
Right. I wouldn't move forward enough. I kept letting myself slide back because I didn't really realize I was doing it, which is back to the first video, right?
Yeah.
What are you really doing? So everything helps. So let's move forward.
Well, I think that's it. I mean, I think it's just that simple that these guys that are having this problem can let go of the brake, ride brakeless like the old days, and find out the bike that is set up all wrong according to them suddenly stops wheel hopping, and then I think we've proven our point.
How about if we take, and you're going to have to be out of the screen for a little while to do it.
Okay.
So you're going to be cameraman.
All right.
I'm going to be in focus.
Okay.
Just think about it. When this tire is coming down the racetrack and it's coming like this, and you're on any type of single, the thing is going cha-choom, 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 and you shut the throttle off. When you shut the throttle off, it's still going cha-choom, cha-choom. And every time it comes up on compression, it's like putting on the brakes. So all of a sudden, the tire starts basically going cha-choom, 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 cha-choom. It's a giant spring, right? You can see it do it. It's a giant spring. And it just makes the problem worse. And what we keep talking about is everything has to do with load, right? You don't have enough ground contact patch when you're on the brakes because the motorcycle, I get it doesn't have front brakes, but the motorcycle is just skating the rear tire along. Well then, because all you guys are doing it, you start digging these hollows in the racetrack and it's stutter bumps on entrance. So the track is doing it, plus the engine is doing it, and they're both going cha-choom, cha-choom, cha-choom. They're just bouncing their way down the racetrack. So I brought up the pro guys at Square Deal last week because as I got watching them, it dawned on me more and more and more as I watched. Those guys, even though it's a decent sized racetrack, they never go straight. It's more turn, less turn, more turn, less turn, more turn, less turn. They don't get to the turn and actually stand it up and go straight. They never go straight. It's more turn, less turn. And if you think about them doing it, they're balancing load, right? They're balancing, you got 100% of tire traction. They're balancing that. When they're in the turn, they got it laid over. They're using 30% of the tire as side bite. So they can only go forward 70%. If they want to go forward 80%, they got to pick the motorcycle up a little. If they want to go forward 90%, they got to pick it up a little more. If they want to go through 100%, then they need to diamond the racetrack, right? They come in, stop, turn, fire the thing back up, and launch again. Then they have traction. But that's because it has weight transfer, right? It's coming back to the rear tire. If you watch Mike ride, he's the same thing. he'll go in the turn, and he's got the thing sideways, and he's leaning back some, keeping some weight, he's balancing front and rear traction. Then he'll decide, okay, I need to slow down a little more, and he loads the front wheel, and he gets it to scuff off that little speed. Then he goes right from there to straighten the bars out, and as he's pulling the bar back, you can watch his wrist screwing the throttle open, because he's trying to break the rear wheel loose, so it'll go over here, when the front wheel's over here, and aim the motorcycle through the turn, right?
Rear steer.
So, yes, completely rear steer. So what we're asking you to do is go out on the racetrack and don't overspeed on the straightaway. Don't touch the rear brake. We want you to get down to the turn and lay the motorcycle over. And what you're really trying to accomplish is, when it's all said and done, right? This is the end result. When it's all said and done, you should be coming down the straightaway fast enough that when you lay the motorcycle over, you exceeded 100% traction. You went to 110. There is no such thing. You only have 100% traction. Because you went to 110, you broke the tire loose 10%. And now the thing starts sliding out. Well, as it's sliding out, it's also scuffing off speed, right?
I kind of perceive that the rear tire is going straight and the front tire is turning left out from underneath it.
Okay.
In my head.
So we can look at it that way too. That the rear tire, it's really a pendulum, right? That's what's happening. As the front tire turns, the rear tire is getting wrung out because it's the other end of the pendulum. It's the end that's not hooked to the racetrack. The front tire is hooked to the racetrack, not the back. The back's spinning all the way off the turn. It's spinning all the way down the straightaway, and it's still spinning on turn entrance. And that's the issue. That's the whole piece right there. Because you guys shut the throttle off and don't keep the tire spinning and then step on the brake, it just starts going, it just starts skidding, right? It just starts going ba-boom, 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 ba-boom. You can't stop it. It's impossible. You can't stop it. What needs to happen is when you turn in, the front wheel turns down, the rear wheel goes up, right? Pendulum, wings up. And as it does, it's scuffing off speed. It's got this nice little sideways brake to it. But that's also, which we've covered in a couple other videos, but I'll cover it again, is you need to get the brake pedal in the right spot. And I don't know if we can actually film this. But
well, Mike O'Neill and I, in our previous series video, we discussed exactly how and why that works.
So this is when Mike Dillon helped me the very first time I went. I told him, hey, I need help. He knew who I was. I don't care what you say. I want to hear it. If you say I'm the worst rider that ever happened, I want to hear it because I want to fix it. I don't care about the words. I just want to fix it.
I think your words were, hey, what am I screwing up here?
So the first two things he hit me was we taped the rag to the seat so I'd stop sliding back and loading the rear tires so much that the front tire wouldn't work. The second thing was he got me on the brake lever. And then when I came back to the shop, I was trying to make sense of it. So instead of grabbing the motorcycle, I actually grabbed the tire. And if you look at it like this, when you get the bike laid over and look at you on the motorcycle laid over with it, look, I can't back my foot up anymore. And if you look at it, I don't know if you can see it, see my heels off the ground, which means I can't get off the brake lever. I'm off the foot peg at the moment. That I needed to lower the foot peg, I needed to lower the brake lever peg so my foot stayed on the foot peg and the brake was below it. So I'm actually reaching for it, like down here. I'm actually reaching for it. Then I can modulate the brake. Well, when you drive out of the pits and you're sitting like this, it's no big deal. You can do anything you want. But as soon as you get it all crossed up in the turn,
get your crotch way forward, the angle of your ankle's too.
You just can't.
Not right, yeah.
I mean, that's as much as my ankle will bend.
You guys go back to the other video with Mike O'Neill, and we went through all of that, showing you pictures and stuff.
Right.
So.
But that's that connection. In this connection, every DT bike, let me change that. If there's 100 DTX bikes at the racetrack, 98 of them have the brake lever in the wrong spot. You watch the guys ride, and at the end, the guys will get 3 laps in, they're going great. The 4th lap, they mess up tremendously. When you come in and walk over and talk to them, they're like, yeah, I don't know, it just got all weirded out on entrance. You're like, well, what happened? I'm like, I don't know, I couldn't get it stopped, then I couldn't get it turned, then I couldn't, and everything they're saying is because Of course you can't do anything. The friggin' rear wheel's locked up, and you can't get off of it because you're so crossed up. You can't get your foot off the brake lever, right? And they have so much brake. It's just everything's working against you.
Yeah.
You need to be reaching for the brake lever like it's a problem getting to it. That way you're using it the least you can.
If it feels good going to the grid, if it's in a good
wrong.
yeah, it's way too tall.
It's wrong.
Yeah.
Which is what this whole video is about, right? We're trying to stop rear wheel hop. Rear wheel hop is too much brake. Too much rate versus traction versus spring rate, right? And don't forget, spring rate is in the tire. If you get the tire moving, the whole motorcycle is going to move. It's not bouncing, you're bouncing. We're trying to eliminate that. So to recap, one quick recap, brake lever has to be down so we don't get bound up. We're asking you to go out, run some laps. Don't use the rear brake. Don't use the throttle. Whatever you think the center of the turn speed is, that's basically your speed. And every lap you're going to try and speed up. And when you get goofed up on entrance that one lap, don't slow down the next lap. Go in harder and just lay the friggin' motorcycle over for once and let it do its thing. So what? It doesn't do what you want and you got to stand it back up and run wide. So what? There's nobody there penalizing you. There's nobody there charging you. You didn't get a speeding ticket. You didn't get a I look like an idiot ticket. Who cares, right? Fix the problem. Don't worry about your ego and what you look like on the racetrack. Just, you got to do it in some manner of, you don't interrupt somebody else or mess up somebody else's session. But I could care less that I ran wide twice. It's a slap in my face because that meant I missed the apex. But as long as I learn from it, I'm okay with it, right? Move forward. We're just trying to move forward.